Assalamu alaikum dear students. Let's take a poem My Mother at 66 which is written by Kamala Das. 66 is the last stage of one's life. That is why the title of this poem is My Mother at 66. And in this poem the poet was going to describe the feelings, the thoughts about her mother who reached at the age of 66. Dear students, before taking this poem I am going to give a brief introduction about the poet. Poetess te vano is poet te. Both are correct. Kamala Das, she was born in 1934 and died in 2009. She was born in Melbourne, Kerala. She is recognized as one of the India's foremost poets. Foremost poets means the most prominent poets of India, and she is one among them. Her works are known for their originality, versatility, and the indigenous flavor of the soil. Her works are known means famous for their originality. Originality means, I am going to clear, means there is a unique style in her work that is found in her work. Versatility means different skills and qualities that are also found in her work. And the indigenous flavor of the soil means the native flavor of the soil that is also found in her works. Kamala Das has published many novels and short stories in English and Malayalam under the name Medvi Katti. Many novels and short stories has been written by Kamala Das. In which language? In English as well as in Malayalam language. And Medvi Katti was her pen name. Some of her works in English include the novel Alphabets of Lust that she wrote in 1977, a collection of short stories, Padmavati the Harlot, and other stories that she wrote in 1992, in addition to 5 books of poetry. Kamala Das embraced Islam in 1999. Emkor Islam Kabul kath years mans 1999 mans, and since then was Suraya. Suraya was her name when she accepted Islam, but later she reverted again. Revolt means to go back to her former religion. That means revolt. So, and died in 2009. She is a sensitive writer who captures the complex subtleties of human relationship in lyrical idiom. My Mother at 66 is such an example. Dear students, My Mother 66, and it is a sentimental poem in which she talks about her mother. And this poem is based on the relationship, or we can say emotional bond, the strong bond of relationship which was between the mother and the daughter. And this poem is like a long sentence punctuated by commas but overflowing with the thought process. What means overflowing with the thought process? And yes, the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions which were expressed by the poet about her mother, and how she has expressed strongly and deeply, she has expressed those thoughts and feelings. And this poem revolves around the theme of aging and the fear that adheres its loss and separation. And here aging means, yes, the person who is becoming older, and the fear that adheres its loss means the death of someone. Here it is that means the fear that the poet had about her mother, that she was not going to live long. And separation means the separation from her mother. And that kind of fear had the poet regarding her mother. Let's take this poem. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, dozed, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees splitting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport's security check standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, wan, pale as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. All I did was smile and smile and smile. driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning. Dear students, you must know who was driving from her parents' home to Cochin. The poet was. The poet was driving from her parents' home to Cochin airport last Friday morning. Her mother was sitting beside her. Doze. She was dozing. Doze means there's not light sleep. To sleep lightly. As dicks asan gasa. That's is one doze. Open mouthed. Her mouth was open. It is because of her old age. It is because of her that we can say that she was weak. That is why her mouth was open. Her face ashen like that of a corpse. Whose face? The face of her mother. It looked pale, it looked ashen like that of a corpse. Corpus means dead body. She says, lash, you say, dead body. So, compare karayatnas. That means her mother's face. The poet was going to compare her mother's face with a dead body. And ashen and pale, they are the same terms. And this is the sign of a corpse. And the same sign is noted by the poet on her mother's face. You see, pale, ashen, this sign is reveal on the dead body. And barabar sui kar notice poetan kasan this chairs pet, pani maj in this chairs pet. Ilim travel is kara when they were traveling from the parents' home to Cochin airport in a car. And yes, it was a sign of her approaching death. And yes, here is a use of there is a use of like. When there is a use of like or as in a line, and this kind of poetic device is called simile. And her face ashen like that of a corpse. And here the image of her mother's face is created in the poet's mind. It is also image. So we can say it is image. It's image the simile. And realized with pen that she was as old as she looked. Who was realized with pen? Yes, the poet realized with pen. There was pain in her heart. When her mother had grown very old and she was not going to live long. Her days were numbered. She was approaching her death. That is why the poet was with such a pain. She realized it with pain. मतलब इमिस बास्याव बास्यास कहे तो मुझ पनी माज को निम्न वो इश वर्स इश मुझ वारिया बुट वो यासा चिम सु स्टेज कि नेरियम दुनिया में मेहमान. But soon put that thought away and looked out at the young trees splitting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But soon put that thought away. And what is it that she was going to put away, drive away? Means the thought of her mother's pale and aged face, the thought of her mother's approaching death. And this was the negative feeling that came in her mind. That is why she was going to avoid that kind of feeling from her mind. And how? When she was looking at the young trees splitting from the window of her car. And she started looking that the young trees splitting. Actually, it is the car that is moving. That it seemed to her that the trees are running. The trees are not running. It is the car that is running. Here the young trees splitting signifies vitality of youth. And dear since trees splitting means dear since trees are living, but they don't move from one place to another place. So we can say this kind of poetic device is called personification. Tree splitting is personification. The poet has also seen the children who were coming out of their homes and play joyfully. And dear students, and this here the poet uses the device of contrast. On one side, he noticed the children were playing. On another side, he showed the, we can say, the declining days of her mother. That means she has become very old. Who? Her mother. But after the airport's security check, means the poet and her mother, they reached at the airport. They had faced the security check. Standing a few yards away, I looked again at her. The poet again looked at her mother when she was standing at few yards away at the airport. The poet was much pained to see the colorless, lifeless, pale face of her mother. It was as pale as a late winter's moon. Here the poet compared her mother's wan and pale face with a late winter's moon. Why? Because in the winter, the moon loses its brightness. It looks dim, it looks dull. In the same manner, her mother was, and she looked pale also, she looked weak. And the winter is the last phase of the year. So, the old age is the last stage of her life. And felt that old familiar ache. Who felt? The poet felt well-known pain in her heart when she was looking towards her mother, who looked as wan, as pale as a late winter's moon. There, since it is also simile, there is use of as, it is simile. And my childhood fear. And she used to feel this kind of fear in her childhood, and the same kind of fear that she had when she was looking towards her mother. أمِس چھُ برابر سُے خوف گژھان پٲدٕ یُس أمِس بچپنس منٛز اوس گژھان ییٚلہِ پنٕنۍ موج أمِس تھوڑا گژھِ ہے اورٕ یور دوٗر تہٕ she was, the child is crying at that time. In the same manner, at this time, the child does not want to lose the sight of her mother. She could not bear the separation from her mother. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. Even though the poet knew that she was approaching her death, her days are numbered, she still hoped to see her mother again. Agar أمِس پتہ چھِ میٲنۍ موج چھِ گژھن واجیٚنۍ, she noticed that kind of sign by which she come to know that she was going to die, but she still hoped to see her mother when they were both at the airport, mother as well as her daughter. And when her mother was going to bid her, we can say, to see of her daughter, and she was feeling very sad at that time. So it was my use. All I did was smile and smile and smile. Dear students, this is the smile that the poet had shown when she was at the airport. Why? It was not the actual smile. It was a fake smile that she had shown, because that her mother should not realize that she was in much pain. Her mother should not realize that she was disappointed. That is why she had shown fake smile. All I did was smile, smile and smile. Dear students, what kind of poetic device it is? That I have already explained to you in the poem Snowdrop, and the same kind of poetic device is here. Smile, smile and smile. The repetition of ancient letters of consonant means S. Pachim B kurmat S use, Pachim B kurmat S use. It is called alliteration. Alliteration that you must remember. Dear students, questions poetic devices must use karmas poetan. Asked karmas simile use. Simile hemjait her face ashen like that of a corpus. Yet poetan could compare her mother's pale face with a corpus. It is simile. And yet could be use her wan and pale face with a late winter's moon, and it is also simile, and it's the last line of this poem. And in this last line, which kind of poetic device the poet has used? Alliteration. And one more poetic device that I have already explained you means the image. Yat maj gasa poetus emsun ashen face yus pani margins, and that kind of image is created in the poet's mind. Thank you.